Thank you, partner. Thank you, listener, for entering the room with me. The topic that will be explained today will be one about traveling, but not the traditional type of traveling that you're familiar with, but a different type of traveling, what we might call multi-dimensional traveling. One thing that we're familiar with in your society is that there is a concept of distance and time, and this is how you gauge or measure your progress. What's happening right now is as your collective is moving from a place of linearity and becoming aware of its multidimensionality, the linear structures of distance and time are being changed and distorted in such a way that individuals are waking up and realizing that there's a shift going on. They can't exactly put their finger on it, but they know that something's different. If you're feeling tired, if you're feeling moody, if your emotions are volatile, it feels as if though you're losing control, if it feels as if though things are different for you than they were a week, a month, a year ago, that's okay. We're in the middle of a great change, and let me explain what I mean by that. My partner is getting the image of a ship and would like to explain the concept of traveling on what we might call a multidimensional ship. In your human history, there were discoverers, adventurers who would travel from continents, one continent to another, sometimes in search of gold, sometimes in search of new trade routes, sometimes in search of new lands. But when one travels on a ship, they start at one destination and they end up at another. You could say that from one distance to another there is a certain many miles. And depending on the speed of the ship, if the distance is 300 miles and the ship goes 10 miles an hour, you could say that it will take 30 hours for that ship to arrive at its destination. That is based upon a linear, meaning the ship example is based upon a linear concept of distance and time. Now let me relate that to you in the way that you multidimensional beings are traveling. There is no final destination, as we have said once before. There is an ever-ongoing process unfurling in front of you, but rather the distances it is that you're traveling are not necessarily measured without. And here's what I mean. The distances that you are traveling, if you may call it distance, are all measured within. And that's the concept that we want you to understand more than anything. Because we see those of you in the room right now. We see those of you listening right now. We see those of you hearing these words and wondering, where's my life going? Why is it that things aren't as easy as they were? Why can't things just be normal? And we've got a news flash for you. This is the new normal. Things are not going to return back to the way that they were, because on this path, on this trail of stepping into the core essence of who it is that you really are and becoming that which you always have been. There's no going back. Now, for some of you, that created a lot of fear. For some of you, that created excitement. For some of you, that created just more confusion. So let's address that. The journey it is that you're going on is one that we would like to explain using the concept that we've seen in your collective movies whenever an individual is driving a car, yet the car is fixed on a stage or a platform, and the only thing moving is a screen or the landscape behind the car, which thus gives it the movement, the illusion of movement. What you will see is that sometimes in your movies, sometimes in your cartoons, there will be a car fixed in place, and the only thing that changes is the landscape behind it. There will be trees that move past. There will be hills, grassy knolls, rocks, animals, sometimes even a sun or a moon on this backdrop or the landscape, which is moving behind a vehicle to give it the illusion of movement. Now, I've got a question for you. Is the car really moving in this example? Or is it simply the landscape and the backdrop, which is giving the illusion of movement? Another example we would like to use is that of a treadmill, as many of you exercise. When you walk on a treadmill or run on a treadmill, you could say that your feet, your arms, your legs are moving. But are you actually going anywhere? Whenever your body, whenever things are moving around you using this treadmill, are you actually moving anywhere? And that's the concept that we would like to explain. Some of you are feeling the urge to do nothing in your life. And we would like to ask you, are you really doing nothing? Or rather, is it that you're just taking the time out to go within and question that which you might have previously considered to be doing something? Because the entire concept of multidimensional travel has nothing to do with what is done on the outside, but has everything to do with what is done on the inside. If we were using the example of taking a ship and traveling on what we call a multidimensional ship, this is what it would look like. To juxtapose the example of going from point A to point B on your linear ship, 300 miles, destination 1 to destination 2, this is how it would look like traveling in a multidimensional ship. You would go forward on this multidimensional ship, sailing away normally for the first 20 or 30 miles, and then all of a sudden, what would happen is your ship would start floating. It would start levitating, if you say. And instead of getting any closer to your destination, it would simply just go up. And then in some cases, it might go down. And I can hear some of you saying, but ships will sink if they go down in the ocean. Let's just imagine that we aren't in an ocean, that we're just in a place. where there's no rules, no limitations. But just imagine with me for a second, what would it be like trying to get from one distance to another, one destination to another, multidimensionally. You would go forward 30 miles, then go up 100 miles, floating up. Now you would say, we aren't making any progress because we're going up. We need to go straight, not up, not down, not left, not right. We need to go straight. And whenever you realize that, then all of a sudden, your ship starts going backwards. Not only have you gone up 100 miles, but now you're back 50 miles. And now you're saying, but my ship, we're 20 miles further away than we were when we started. And that's how some of you feel right now. Some of you in this room right now feel as if though you're worse off than when you started in some aspects. Not all, because you're an optimist. You're positive and you can see that there has been growth which has happened, but you feel as if though you're even more behind than when you started this journey. So let's continue with our multidimensional travel on this ship. Now you're 100 miles up and 20 miles back. From a linear standpoint, you are much further away than where you started your journey to begin with. But remember, all of a sudden, in a place where there's no rules, no limitations, and there's really no destination to go to, because of the fact that we are multidimensional beings, we're all multidimensional beings, the more you travel in such a way that is nonlinear, you begin to unlock certain parts of yourself, certain skills or abilities that you didn't know that you had. And to use this for an example, you're traveling on the ship and all of a sudden, you're 100 miles up, 50 miles back, and then you say, I want to be where I want to be. And instantly, you're there. You've just magically teleported to where it is that you wanted to be to begin with. And now one would say, that's not possible. If I'm traveling on a ship or trying to get to a destination, or if I'm trying to achieve a goal in my life, and it seems as if though I'm going in the wrong direction, why is it that all of a sudden I find myself here? The thing that we're here to remind you about is that the only limitations it is that you're putting on yourself in regards to where you perceive or where you think it is that you want to be, the only limitations are coming from yourself. Sometimes not in this life, sometimes from past lives or collective programming. But we want you to know that everything, the direction it is that you're heading whenever you're traveling multidimensionally, for whatever goal it is, for whatever desire it is that you feel or think it is that you're moving to, whatever direction it is that you're moving is the right direction. Whatever you feel you're supposed to do is the right thing to do. Whatever you think is the right thing to be is the right thing to be. Because the thing that you must understand, which we understand from our time-space reality as it is, there is nothing different from you and us. We would like to make that point. We just simply are aware, or if we may say it, less aware of certain rules, regulations, limitations, and guidelines which are pervasive in your collective perceptions. Whenever you allow yourself to step out of linearity and more into your multidimensional nature, which has always existed, you will realize that the destination it is that you feel as if though you are looking to get to or hoping to arrive to is a lot closer than you thought it was, and the way that you navigate to it is through your feelings, through your emotions, as you're learning to traverse the internal paths to wherever it is that you want to be. You will realize that multidimensional travel is not a linear thing. It's not point A to point B. Sometimes if you're at point A and you want to get to point B, you have to go A, Z, Y, X. And it feels like you're going backwards. And then all of a sudden, when you're at T, or you're at M, halfway through the alphabet, you're magically at B, skipping the remaining letters of where you thought, or the path you thought that you had to take in order to get to where it is that you thought you wanted to be. And the thing that we would like to share with you is that this journey, this multidimensional journey that you all are on, is not one which can be measured through your actions, through what you do, or through what you don't do. Some of you are feeling inspired to sleep a lot. Some of you don't want to talk. Some of you don't want to interact with others. Some of you don't even want to work anymore. Some of you are feeling as if though your life is calling you in a different direction than it was originally. And that's okay. The thing that we would like to explain to you is that on this multidimensional journey which you're on, you're navigating your feelings to get to, if we say, a new or different destination. Again, not a final destination, but you are arriving to a different set point from where it is that you currently were. Now, using the example of treadmills, stationary cars, and ships, we would like to answer a question that many of you in the room have right now. Why is it that people are leaving me? Why is it that I seem to be losing things? Why is it that the things that I thought were stable, or the things that I thought were there, are going to be there for me always, are going away? They're fading away and I can't do anything about it. The more I grasped for those things or towards those things, the faster they slip away. Why? Why is this happening to me? And then I want to ask you a question. Using the treadmill. When you're going and running on a treadmill, are you actually moving? In a time, space, three-dimensional reality, you're physically moving, but in one place, correct? What is happening right now, is I would like you to see things from our perspective. When people perceive to leave you, or whenever it feels as if though circumstances, situations, people, events are happening around you, are they happening to you? Or are you simply observing them? Whenever it feels as if though a person is leaving you, are they leaving you? Are you leaving them? The thing that I would like most of you to be aware of, because there are some of you who are already fully aware of this, is that each of you is a fixed point in the universe, and it is simply your consciousness which is fixed, and everything around you is giving the illusion of movement. Sometimes it gives the illusion of separation. Sometimes it gives the illusion of things leaving, of people leaving, of situations and circumstances changing around you. But remember, being a multidimensional being that you are and always have been and always will be, it is not so much that things are leaving you, people are leaving you, that you are doing things or are not doing things. It is simply that as you step into the different dimensions inside yourself, some which do not have numbers as you're familiar, as most of you are familiar with dimensions. Some of them don't even have names. Some of them are just places, but then again, they're not really places. As you step into more of your multidimensionality, you begin to realize that things are not happening to you. Things never happen to you. But rather, things are happening with you. As you evolve, so does your circumstances. So do your situations. There's a familiar quote, "As above, so below." And we would like to expand on this saying, "As within, so without." As the changes happen within, they're reflected by your outside reality. And thus, whenever things seem to change around you, we want to ask you the question, did this circumstance change first, or did you change first? Did this event happen in your life randomly, by surprise, on accident? Or did something inside of you change to allow that situation? For better or worse? But again, the idea that situations and circumstances happen for better or worse is whenever we're looking, to use our ship example, whenever we're trying to travel from one point to another and we're only gauging the distance from where we are to where it is that we want to be, instead of allowing the journey to unfold however it may and just knowing that through traversing the inner states of our emotions and doing whatever feels right to us, we're going to get to wherever it is that we feel we're supposed to get to, no matter what. And this is what we would like to ask you. We would like to ask you to be easy on yourself. Because the criticism it is that you are getting, or that you feel you're getting in your minds, they aren't coming from you. It's coming from collective perceptions, collective beliefs, energetically imposed upon you about where it is that you should be according to them. Now we're speaking in dualistic terms right now because we would like to illustrate that whenever you're criticizing yourself on where it is that you feel you should be, it's not actually you. It's not actually your judgments. It's the judgments of those who might have come before you. Sometimes it's of parents. Sometimes it might be of siblings. Sometimes it might be even of your ancestors. Sometimes it comes from the collective. But more importantly, the thing that we want you to know is that where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. What you're doing right now is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. The person you are right now is exactly the person who you're supposed to be, and there's nothing wrong with that, no matter what your mind is telling you, no matter what anyone else is telling you. You're perfectly okay doing what you're doing. There's no need, old soul, to beat up on yourself the way that you've been. There's no need, old soul, to feel bad about what you have or don't have, what you've done or haven't done, what you're being or not being. Because from where we are looking upon you, we view you with all the love in the world, but we see you for who you really are. And we see you already where you are. And those moments when you feel as if though you're off track, when you feel as if though you're going backwards, and you feel as if though you're worse off than where you were before you started, we look at you and smile, and we say to ourselves, they have no clue just how close they are to the next breakthrough. And that's what we want you to realize too. For where it is that you're going, no matter what direction, no matter what action you're taking, no matter who it is that you're being, what it is that you're doing, or more importantly sometimes what it is that you're not doing, everything is okay. All is well. Where we come from, there are no measurements to success. The only measurement is how much love do you have in your heart? How much compassion are you showing to others, including yourself? Who is the person that you're being right now? How brightly are you allowing your light to shine in this moment? And for those of you who feel as if though you haven't been living up to your expectations of what you know you're capable of, I want you to know all is well. You're perfect as you are right now. And just remember that the journey we are on is one which is not gauged in linear concepts such as space, distance, or time. But rather it is you navigating your emotions in an inward path. One that sometimes doesn't go left, it doesn't go right, it doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. Sometimes it goes within. And that's what I challenge some of you to do. Take the time necessary to go within. However long that takes, however deep you need to go. But the thing that I would like you to do also, because remember, moving away from duality to what we call multiplicity, experiment with what it would be like to go within and to expand without at the same time. Experiment with what it would be like to go up and to go down at the same time. Because there's a concept in your collective about how it is necessary on this path of ascension, enlightenment, becoming holy, becoming one with God. There is this perception and a long time held belief that one must cut themselves off from things which are contrary to what one believes is spiritual. And we would like you to explore from a different perspective what it would be like to be in more than one place at once. Because we know that some of you are feeling as if though you're out of your bodies, or you're just not there. We see you in the room right now who are saying, I just feel out of it. I just feel like I don't have my stuff together. I just don't feel like me right now. And that's okay, because what's happening is there is a part of yourself right now which is getting used to the fact that you're in more than one place at once. And it's not so much that you're going to go back to normal, going to go back to the way that it was. But rather what's going to happen is that these things, these realizations of your multidimensionality and sometimes of your multi-presence, you being in more than one place at once, the realization of that is simply going to be more integrated so that it feels normal. And as a result, we would like you to experiment with what it would be like holding those two places in at the same time. For some of you, it's more than two places. You know who you are. There's some of you listening right now in the room who are aware or becoming aware that you're in more places that you can count. And we would like, there's a different challenge for you. For those of you who have gotten to the point where you feel as if though you've explored within, without, up, down, left, right, sideways, left ways, backward ways, here's the new challenge. And this is for all of you. Take what you know and live your life normally, the way that you considered yourself to use to live it. And I can hear some of you in the room saying, oh, that's impossible. I can't do that. Some of you in the room are saying right now, but I can't be multidimensional in my old life. And we're not telling you to go into your old life. What we're simply extending the invitation out for you to do is to take your multidimensionality into places that it hasn't been before. Because it's easy to be multidimensional when you're locked up in your room, you're all by yourself, there's no one to talk to. It's easy to be multidimensional when there's nothing going on around you, and things are still, and things are quiet. But here's the new challenge for you. Allow yourself to be who it is that you are on the street, around others, in public. Allow yourself to let your light shine in places that it hasn't shone before. Sometimes for you, that means around family. Sometimes for some of you, that means around your friends. Sometimes for you, that simply means going around your life, not even necessarily explaining concepts about spirituality or talking about what it is to be multidimensional. Doesn't involve explaining ascension. It simply means being who you are, regardless about whether you tell someone about it or not. And that's what we're really asking all of you to do. The words it is that you say to others are not what we're trying to get you to do, but rather we're extending the invitation for you to realize the depth of your multidimensionality and for you to apply it in different ways than you haven't thought before. I guess we could say that this is one of the ways, if we may put it this way, of multidimensional multitasking. Because it's easy to be what you consider as spiritual when you're in the cave, it's dark, and there's no one around you. But what we would like to ask you to do, if you're willing to accept our invitation, we're asking you to go to places that you haven't gone before. We're asking you to do things that you haven't done before. We're asking you to be a person that you haven't been before. But be that person. Do those things. Say those things. Have those things. In places that you would have never thought. For each of you, that means different. For each of you, that gives a different meaning. But in your heart, you know exactly what it is that you're supposed to do. There's a multitude of explanations that I could give onto how it is that this could be applied. But we would like you to read, or rather listen. Not just to the verbal words which are being spoken by my partner right now, but we would like you to feel the energetic content behind the words which are being spoken. Because that's really what the message is. The messages which are given in these channels are not the words which are being spoken. That is not the message. The message is the energy behind the words. The message is the energy, and not just how it means to someone else, but how it applies to you. That's why for each of these channelings, two people can go to the same channeling and receive a different message, even though the same words were spoken. Each of you in these channels, in these messages, will be receiving a different plan, a different signpost, a different guide of what to do. And this is what we would like you to ask. This is what we would ask you to do. Simply get in touch with that part of yourself. Sometimes it'll be within. Sometimes it'll be without. Sometimes it means going left. Sometimes it means doing this. Sometimes it means talking to this person. Sometimes it means doing that, or don't doing this thing. Whatever it means for you is whatever it means for you. And allow that to be the measurement of your progress. Are you doing what you are supposed to do? Because light worker, you were born on this planet for a reason. You were brought here to do work that only you were supposed to do. So we would ask, as much as you can, will you begin doing what it is that only you can do? Or will you begin to become the person who it is that only you can be? Because once you step into that, and become aware of that person. Sometimes through action, sometimes through thought, sometimes through words. You're going to realize that you always were that person. And with that awareness, we ask you to take it. Take that awareness of who it is that you are to new places that it hasn't been before. To new places that you would have never thought of going. Sometimes that might mean physically going to a location. Sometimes it might mean staying exactly where you're at. But remember, old soul, do what you are supposed to do. Everyone's different. And you cannot gauge one success to another's. It's not that linear. Just simply know that there's a divine plan, and by doing what it is that you know in your heart and soul is right, you're doing the right thing. And just know, old soul, we look at you with all the love and compassion in the world, and we thank you for all your help. We thank you for what contributions it is that you have given, are giving, and will give to this planet. We thank you, light worker, for letting your light shine. All we're doing right now is asking you to do what you know you're supposed to do. Be the person you are supposed to be. Regardless of what external influences say, allow yourself, give yourself permission to allow you to be who it is that you know you're supposed to be. We're always there for you. We're always cheering you on. We're always supporting you. And remember that the universe is always working in your favor. Thank you. And so it is.